Good morning and hello, everybody. I'm Samuel Trapp. I'm your Russian-speaking American. And I just want to comment a little bit. I just did it in Russian, and so I'm a little worked up. But I want to do it in English now, so you can watch me in English and in Russian. I don't have a script, so I sometimes miss little points here and there that I put up, but I try to do it in English and in Russian so that you can hear me both ways. What's the need of having to translate it and listen to some AI voice do it for you, and sometimes incorrectly, although they're getting better. That part isn't in the Russian part. How do you like that? And so I wanted to say a little bit about the Super Tuesday results from last night. Biden lost one little tiny island. I forget. I remember the guy's name that beat him is Jason, but Jason what? I don't know. And Jason won in a little tiny, I believe it was an island somewhere. And that's pretty funny because nobody wants that old man in office anymore. And knowing when to retire in sports is very important. I was a huge John Elway fan. Huge. And that guy went out at the right time. I was a huge fan of some, and I don't follow sports teams generally. I follow people that impress me in sports. So I haven't really watched much football since John Elway. And I kind of like the underdog, obviously. I consider myself an underdog, in fact. And if you go through my history, you'll find out that that's true. I'm working on a project on that regard, but there's stuff out there about me. You can read about it. You can find out about me. And if you want to talk to me about it, I'd be happy to do so, because there are some things that happen to me that shouldn't happen to people. That's just complete horseshit. But anyway, that part was not in the Russian part either. But I do want to tell you that in this country, Trump keeps saying it, that we are at a crossroads as a country. And I believe that in 2016, the shock of the world was when the Hillary monster did not win. She fully expected to win. They control the system. They control the government. They being the Democratic Party. And if you think that anybody that works in the government cesspool of administrative law and people that have been there for 100 years and aren't leaving, if you think that those people are Republican, you better think again, because they're not. In huge quantities, they are Democrat and Democrat supporters, because that's how you get embedded in those positions. And they stay there forever, and they never leave. So in 2016, why would you? You don't have to work. You don't have to be competent. You don't have to do anything. We used to make jokes about it and say in the Army, Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. Jack got stupid and tripped on his dick. Then he got promoted. Because that's what we believe of government service. If you're in the government and you're at the top, guess what? You licked the right ass to get there. Period. And if you can think otherwise, you can think it's your work, but it's not. You might be good at what you do. I hope you are. But the fact is, you kiss somebody's ass to get there. Whether you're a judge in the Supreme Court, or whether you're just Joe Blow as a supervisor at your county office, you licked the right ass to get there. Now, there are exceptions to that. People that got elected. And people that get elected can sometimes shake up that little government cesspool. Maybe, like Trump. Nobody has ever shaken it up from the top like Trump. And if there's one thing that people should know in this country, the reason that 9-0 happened with our Supreme Court, think about this, because I'm right. The reason the 9-0 happened, okay? And I know how lawyers work. I know how the government works, especially in the court system, which is more corrupt than either of the other two branches, okay? Just so you know, the only way you get appointed to be a federal judge is to lick the ass of somebody to get you there. And when you lick that ass, it's political ass. And you are very political yourself. So when you get there, here's how judges work on the federal level. Okay? This is how it works. And there could be exceptions. Of course there are exceptions, but this is how it works. This is why you're seeing people prosecute Donald Trump, and now the fact is it's coming out as the political enforcer of the Democratic Party. All branches of government, including, by the way, the Supreme Court. The only reason the Supreme Court didn't do that is because that truly is the most important decision they could make in a while. Usually they ignore them. The Supreme Court gets 1,200 or so, cases every session. You know how many they listen to? You know how many they actually read? 0 to about 6%, maybe. And some clerk reads the rest and says it's not politically important. Because it's not. If it's not politically important, they ain't paying attention. If it's not one of their little pet projects where they get to fuck somebody that screwed them on the way up, they aren't listening either. So your Supreme Court's in the same boat, people, and you need to pay attention to that. They don't read it. And I know that because I sent my own case up there. And if you let my case go through and you didn't even read it and you didn't even get it, 9 Supreme Court judges who I have very little respect for after that. I have respect for your position. But you individually holding that position, I don't think so. Because you sure as hell aren't reading every case that comes up there. If that's true, then somebody will show me the procedure that says a judge reads it, and that judge should have to make a comment upon each and every case. Those guys are appointed for life. They don't do anything. Somebody should force them to do that. Congress should say that they make their own rules. The only place that makes their own rules, the courts. They can't be touched. Those people are in there. I can't touch them. Everything I say here will never, ever change until we change the entire system. Because the only way you get appointed to any of the higher court positions is to lick an ass of somebody else. I really hate that I think that way. I really do. But I'm not alone, people. There are other people that think this way. And those people should change. Donald Trump said something about it not long ago, about how this system of ours should change. This election really is pretty important. If Joe Biden wins this time, everybody will know that the system is, I mean, most of us already do know. But if that result ends up, they're already trying to push it that way. They're already trying to push it that way. It's a war, not of America, not for the people, but it's a war of the entrenched bureaucracy. That is what you're fighting, America, the entrenched bureaucracy. You're not fighting Joe Biden. You're fighting the people that puppet master that poor old man who's being used, just like Ukraine's being used by the same people. And it's very sad. The rest of the world is waking up to it. Maybe you should too. Have a very nice day. I can be reached at samtrap1@gmail.com. Very nice, and thank you very much for listening to my rant.